But while you're getting that together, there was a guy that in Boris's group a while back. He did a UCC1 on the birth record at the hospital and listed the location of the debtor at the hospital. He was in the middle of a foreclosure on his house. And we don't know, they don't know either what got triggered. But something got triggered and the foreclosure attorneys went and walked away.
Hold on, what did he do?
He did a UCC1 on the birth record and put the location of the debtor at the hospital of birth.
Yes. Yes, this is exactly what we were teaching. Yes.
And
okay.
When he did that, they said they don't know what got triggered.
Okay.
But the foreclosure attorneys walked away in the middle of the case.
So this is the technology that I've been teaching for about 6 years now is jurisdiction. And that's exactly one of the examples that we give is using the metes and bounds of the hospital as that place where you heap everything on and then challenge the jurisdiction of it.
Now, we had a probate judge just the other day confirm what I've been teaching here. And I know you don't know how much you know about what I've been teaching, but it sounds like we're on the same page. You just might be a little ahead of me. And I'm fine with that because none of us knows all the law. We all know.
No, we don't, brother. Arm in arm, hand in hand, we'll come together.
That's right. But the probate attorney heard one of my friends. My friend was filing a case in the court. And he's talking to his buddy on the phone about what I've been teaching him. And the probate judge pulled him to the side when he got ready to leave and said, "Follow me." Walked him outside the court. And he said, "You know, everything you said you're right about, but you missed one thing." He said, "The mother did give you that name, but you've never taken control of it."
There you go. Yep.
He said, "Until you take control of it, it's the property of the state."
It has to be, because it's like a 4-year-old with a sharp knife. 4-year-old can't have a sharp knife.
No kidding. People ask me about when I told them. I said, "Would I teach my oldest son this stuff?" Absolutely not. And I'm not afraid to say it. He's white trash.
No, they can't have a sharp knife if they can't operate it.
I mean, he would abuse it.
I did have a little plan because as soon as I heard those things that you guys were talking about, the names and all that stuff, so my little plan was the first thing I did was copyrighted my name and everything.
Copyright, a common law copyright holds no weight.
Nope.
To try to take some
wrong tree.
So what is it that we can do? That's why I mentioned
take control.
One, take control through the probate court, but until you do that, trademark it through the USPTO.
There you go. Yeah.
Put your name. Put that name into commerce. Go get you a website in the name. Start doing business with it in commerce. Look, Will Smith did it. Go look up Will Smith's trademark application. You can find it. Okay? Just trademark the birth name.
And what again? I got that part right down. You said trademark in DTO?
Yeah, it costs you $250 to do the application and start using it in commerce. And once you trademark it, now you got the full force and effect of the United States behind the trademark. That's part of all taking control of that estate. It's your vehicle in commerce. And right now, the April at the trademark office is trying to force me into putting down that I'm a U.S. citizen. I said, I can't. I'm not. And this is a contract. Why am I going to put something fraudulent on a contract?
Pastor, let me ask you about that, because you and I were having that conversation kind of wait, was it you or somebody? I don't know. But like, so you can claim it at some times, but then when it's beneficial to claim, but then other times when
No.
it's beneficial, like what's the reasoning? What's the
What's the reasoning? You've been claiming it out of ignorance. When is it ever beneficial to claim something that puts you into the aspect of a slave? To be a U.S. citizen means you waive all your rights for what? Privileges, or what we call civil rights. In other words, you heard the saying, what God giveth, God taketh away. Well, inalienable rights are what God gives you. Civil rights is what government gives you. And government then becomes God, and what God gives, God can take away. See,
I
what you
understand the
create,
theory.
what you create, you control. Who created the U.S. citizenship?
But if you're not a U.S. citizen, or you're not at least able to act as a U.S. citizen, right? Then what are you?
You decide. See, you have the right to decide at any time. There's a reason why the First Amendment is first. If you go into court and you believe you are that, they're not going to tell you any different. And remember, he who makes the claim has the burden of proof. If you believe you are a U.S. citizen, they're not going to tell you anything different.
Yeah, that's it. There's so much truth to that.
But tell me, when did you apply? In the law, there is an applicable process to becoming a U.S. citizen. When did you apply for that citizenship?
And usually they connected to the Selective Service. That's usually where they connect you.
I have
that
the answer.
That don't even connect you, because why? When you put the name and you put the social, what are you putting on the document? The trust. That trust is.
I have the answer to that question, Pastor.
Hey, Tim, I haven't even had a chance to listen to your recording.
You need to,
busy on the phone.
Because in that recording, the lady, the federal agent from the Social Security Administration office, says, as soon as your birth certificate makes you a U.S. citizen, is what she told me. And I said, what?
I would have said,
I said, what? You crazy. No, I'm serious. You got to listen to it.
Where's her evidence that that's my birth certificate? My denotes.
No, I know. My argument with her was, when did I agree to this? Can you prove that I agreed to this? Well, your parents did. Okay, so that's still not me. Whatever. I don't know. You should listen to it. I wish I was as educated as you guys, because I would have asked her a whole lot better questions.
All you'd have done is frustrated her, because she is probably completely innocent and naive and doesn't know any better.
Oh, yeah. She was a nice lady.
Right? She doesn't know any better. She did. Because she thinks the same thing for herself.
Yeah, that's my name.
That's your name. So you said take the name. So you said take the name, trademark it. Because I'm writing down these things because I need to get this thing done the right way, so I can move forward. Because I was planning to go publicize, do the business in my name and publicize the name in the newspaper, saying that this is notice for every party that my name is copyrighted or whatever, and so forth.
I was really trying to pry out of her what exactly is my relationship with this trust. And she kept saying, well, eventually you'll be the beneficiary. I go, well, then what does that make me now?
You be the beneficiary. You only get the beneficiary, I guess, when you die.
Oh, if you become disabled.
No, I mean, in her terms. I mean like in her terms. That's why she said eventually. In her terms, I'm not saying that in her terms.
And then I asked, I said, so is there a way to undo this?
You can't undo what you didn't create, what you have no authority over.
I know that was.
I have to pose a question though on this. Like when I really sit down and think about this, and this is what Cite Your Authority and I were talking about in the very beginning, is that I got a nice pension every month. You know what I'm saying? So what am I going to say? What am I running from? What am I saying that, I don't want to be a part of anymore? I don't want nothing to do with this. As long as I understand how to separate myself from the U.S. citizen and just usufruct everything that comes with it, then what would I want to deny about being one?
Jesse,
my name is one. The name that I claim is one. The name that I use is one. But I mean, why do we want to run through stuff?
Jesse,
you don't want to be one.
You want to eliminate liability.
Bingo.
Okay.
And you do it through an assignment and a notice of assignment.
See, the Congressional Record, March 9th, 1933, says that they created this new money in exchange for government obligations. But you're sitting there violently thinking the system is.
We're losing you, brother. You're breaking up.
We're not hearing you anymore.
Yeah, I'm going down the road in my commercial capacity right now because I'm a truck driver. The problem is the government. Look, you want to see? Let me give you the absolute, right in your face example of what the problem is. But look at the national debt. That $30 trillion isn't government spending. The bulk of that spending is us. We're sitting there creating all these securities, all this public debt, and we're not doing our duty so the government can take care of its obligations and balance the books. We sit there and point the finger at government and say, balance the budget, but we're not doing what we're supposed to do so they can. What is a government obligation? It's their duty, but we want to run around and say, oh, this is freaking great. I want all this liability. I want all this debt. That's the bottom line, Jesse.
I hear what you're saying, but a while ago, there's a guy that was running around saying usufruct all the time, and I looked up that word, and that's what I like to go with.
I'm not saying don't go with it. That's Boris.
Okay, Boris.
Yeah. But what he's missing, and the reason he's stuck on usufruct, is he still sees it as his name, even though he has no firsthand knowledge that's his name.
Bingo.
I understand that too, and I'm with you, but we're just talking theory and semantics at this point. What is knowing?
I'm not talking theories. I'm talking facts.
Sitting here at my table right now in Southern California, what is knowing that I am not the name Jesse Stevens SS blah 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 U.S. citizen? What does that do for me right now, sitting at my table?
Right now, nothing until you have to apply it.
Exactly. That's what I was talking about.
You want to see when I applied it? Go look at the recent traffic ticket I got in this truck. My reverse light was out. I got the ticket February 21st. My supposed court date was March 28th, March 16th, and I recorded the phone call. Fearless Floyd's listened to it. He interviewed me on his show because of this ticket. They sealed and dismissed the record because of what I know. When have you ever heard the court sealing a traffic ticket?
Well, have you heard about the use of my prayer with people?
Oh yeah, the guy down in Crazy Mark, don't you?
Crazy Mark
up in Minnesota Mark.
Oh yeah, did Minnesota Mark? Did he use it?
Minnesota Mark's the one that told the guy to use it. And the guy used it, and he freaking got his traffic tickets dismissed. But then he come back later with the failure to appear. Oh yes, I was guilty. Well, guess what?
No.
The charges were dismissed. That's a military term.
Dismissed.
They were dismissed, not discharged.
Yeah.
So he's still in jail to this day. He's double-minded.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll make sure that the word discharge is in that prayer then.
Yeah, because you're only dismissed from duty. You discharge from
correct.
office.
And one thing I like about the prayer is when you use it as an endorsement to an instrument. Wow. It has all the instructions there for an instrument. Their instrument. Yeah.
Now, I got sidetracked there for a second, but on my court case, on March 16th, I called. This year. I called the clerk of court and I said, I need to speak to the court clerk. And she said, well, there's 3 of us. I said, no, I need to speak to the one that manages the courthouse to make sure everything runs smoothly. She said, no, that's me. I said, I'm in possession of a debt instrument. I never called it a ticket. I said, I'm in possession of a debt instrument here and I need to verify your EIN for tax reporting purposes. She said, well, yeah, you got to do that. And I said, so I read the EIN and she says, oh, well, I can't confirm that.
Pastor, can you send me that link or whatever you got so I could be able to know some of those stuff that you're talking about, traffic laws?
No, it's not about traffic laws. It's about what are they operating as? They're operating as a bank.
Right.
And they have a negotiable instrument. And they have a negotiable instrument, and they're presenting it to you. How do you handle it?
Yes.
You first follow the debt instrument. Identify it. It's a debt instrument. Second of all, go down the checklist of debt instrument. What do you need for a debt instrument? You need an EIN number.
Yeah. So I read the EIN number, and she says, well, I can't verify that's what that is. You might need to talk to Barbara at the town hall. I said, well, I'll get her number here in a moment. And I said, the next question is I need to know the penal sum for this instrument. Now, she lied to me at this point and said, well, I don't know what that is or how to get it. I said, well, ma'am, this is the instrument number. And then she says, are you giving me a ticket number? I said, ma'am, if you believe that's what it is, that's on you. I see it as an instrument of value or a debt instrument, which means under Title 18 U.S.C. 8, it's an obligation of the United States. And then she said, are you the name? And I said, ma'am, that name is owned by the United States. They're the secured party in this matter, and I'm just the registered agent, and it's my duty to notify the principal of anything that affects his interest. And then she says, can you hold a moment? And I said, yeah. She comes back a minute or two later and says, that matter's been sealed and dismissed. I said, can you send the signed order to the address you have on file? Oh, no. I can't send that. You're going to have to verify who you are. My man letter with watermark for my crest on it, and I rehashed the phone call off, listing the EIN, the DUNS number. I didn't think about it at the time. I should have got the cage code. Profit banking institution, and I said, and the court has 10 days to produce said order. And she got that order on the 24th. Now, remember, I said my court date was the 28th. The 24th was a Thursday. This was way upstate New York. I live way down south. Well, she must have went, oh, crap, because she printed that order that day. It's dated the 24th. And it was at my house Monday morning, the supposed day of court. Sealed and dismissed.
Discharged.
Well, the order says dismissed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. All I did was say, y'all do what you want with it, basically. It's not my responsibility. It's the United States. If they got a debt to pay, let them pay it.
Exactly. Just let them do their books. It's their books. It's their instrument. It's theirs, guys. Learn how to let them do their job. Stand out of the way. Direct them properly.
You want to know why inflation is so high? They can't balance the books because we're not giving them what they need. Oh, but they know what I do with my account. Can you keep up with 350 million people?
No. 4-year-olds with knives.
Render
Oh
unto
man,
Caesar that which is Caesar's, and unto God that which is God's. We're not giving Caesar's their stuff.
you guys have some awesome information.
Well,
It's
brother
sad.
pastor. Oh, so, pardon me. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, it's sad that I don't know much about this. So when you guys like give like those little points and little keys, if like say like you said dead instrument and so forth, you can just like drop it either in my inbox if you don't want to drop it inside that thing. Just drop it in my inbox. I will review those documents. I will definitely read because I need to learn it and understand it for myself so I can execute it myself. Because that's the key right there. You're telling me this thing so I can learn and understand it for myself so I can execute it on myself. For right now, like you're telling me, I hear it in my ear, then you guys saying some more. So one or two of them might skip away. But if you put them in my inbox or in that thing, I'll come and look at it later or read it and do it over and practice it myself. So I can have this conversation real good with y'all. So thank you again for the information.
Brother, let me tell you something. I don't do templates. Everything I did in that. No, listen.
Oh, go ahead.
I know, but you're saying, hey, put all that in my chat. Well, I could write it up, right? I could. But it's off the top of my head. The reason why it's off the top of my head is I've been reading their documents for so long. Once you get to the point,
equity is done that way, and equity that way where you live it, it's right on the tip of your tongue because the last word you spoke was of equity.
Yeah.
And equity's a strange one, guys. People want to point to chancellery courts to get equity. No, equity is everywhere. It's how you conduct yourself. And equity is not kind. It doesn't divide by two. If two come up squabbling, one's going to leave with nothing. The other one's probably going to leave with everything.
Yeah, it's not just that. It's what is it? It's basically contract law, Article 1, Section 10.
Yes. Yep, 110.1.
The government, everybody says the government's a fraud. No, they're not. If you want to argue constructive fraud, we will argue that because I do agree that.
I agree with constructive fraud. Absolutely.
Because they publish everything. They put it in your face.
They put notice. They give you notice, and that is what is required in the law, is that they notice you. And they do so. That's why it isn't fraud.
Ugh. You know, somebody the other day said that they were the holder in due course of the Social Security card, the account. I said, nowhere on the card does it say you're the holder in due course. You know what it actually does say? You're the holder. They are the holder in due course. It's their property. You're just the holder. And the tear-off section of the Social Security card that the average person doesn't have, it plainly says in multiple spots, the holder of the card. This is legal terminology. Understand what it means and what it says. You're just the agent.
Yes, and know that you know, if you look up the word agent or alias, that's one, alias or nickname, you'll realize that those things are where they actually hide the bonds. Go to Black's Law Dictionary and look up alias.
Or you're not joking there.
Yeah, that's where they hide the bonds. They hide those bonds under those names, those aliases.
My buddy Andrew in Tennessee, he doesn't know a lot about this, but he knows a lot about the legal system because he hates family court and he helps families. But I started teaching him some of this stuff, right? And he went to the what is that? The Register of Deeds, not in Tennessee. It's the county recorder's office. And he looked up his warranty deed. And the name on the warranty deed had the all caps name, a married man. So it would basically be the name of the trust is John Henry Doe, a married man. I said, ain't that an interesting title for the trust? They hide it. They just put a name to it that similar to you, and you think you're the liable party. So what do? You keep giving them your money, transferring your wealth. And what happens every time there's a recession or deviation in the banking system. 2008, what was they saying? The rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. What are they saying now? The rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. Because
Again,
why? You're continuing to transfer your wealth.
Now, something there was something I was going to add that was really important. I'll come up with it. Yeah, Pastor, you're on the money, and I'd love to help you out and fill in the blanks anytime, brother.
I would love that, brother.
I've got some incredible. I think you and I should just chew on some fat, because I've been doing this a long time, and I've been through the ringer and got a few cases under my belt. And
I vaguely think I recognize your voice, but I'm not going to swear to it.
I recognize yours. A lot of people find me a little harsh because I'm just.
Wait a minute. The House of Prayer. What's the guy's name on the House of Prayer? The PMA.
Can't hear you.
The guy that has the website that my house shall be called. It's the House of Prayer. I think you've been on his phone call.
Yes, I have.
I think you was on the phone call the night in question that I told him I wanted to get in touch with you. Look how God works.
Isn't that wonderful, brother? Yep.
God directs our path.
Well, people want credentials, and I don't give just either do credentials. So people, you like their.
Now, I didn't hear nothing you just said because of my signal.
It wasn't your signal. We couldn't hear him either.
Yeah, I said, okay. Yeah, I don't do credentials because, I'm just one of God's servants. I don't have any credentials. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a doctor. I'm just one of God's servants, and you either like me or you don't. I can be a little bit harsh because of the times that we're in and the little time we have. But besides that, I do God's work.
Time is definitely short, brother. I mean, look at the signs.
Yes.
No, but it was that phone call that I listened to was back in May.
Yep.
And y'all were having a conversation on PMA. You were on there first. And then the older gentleman came on later, like the last hour.
Correct.
And I was listening to you, and I was like, oh, this man's good.
Yeah, I blew the doors off of them that night. They didn't have nothing to say. They weren't even prepared to hear the truth.
And I even told him, I said, help me get in touch with that brother. And look, well, he didn't, I don't guess he did because you showed up.
Yeah. Well, I'm always going to be preaching the same message. I'm not going to change. And that's, that's just my style, because I've realized that as I change my style, I realize that other people don't like me, and I change my style, and then other people don't like me. Listen, my style is someone that has got calluses on his hand, calluses on his feet, broken bones, but I'm not weary. I'm standing tall. My chin is up, and I've learned the languages of many men, and I'm here to report back to others so they don't have to go through the strife that the people that I've helped and what I have gone through.
Well, let me tell you what I'm working on.
Sure.
I already know you know about the marriage license and know what that is. I'm actually telling people, look, people that they say, are you a pastor? Yes, I'm an ordained minister. I said, but I will not marry nobody under a marriage license. If you want to do a contract of matrimony, that's different. That's God's realm.
Yes.
And now the other thing is this. Well, now that I've got the CDC document that admits to the placenta in all 50 states.
Oh, are you kidding me? Oh,
I am not kidding.
Whew.
I said,
okay.
So guess what? You know what happened back in the old days? Some cultures would leave the placenta attached, some would not. But what was the one thing they had in common? What was the one thing they had in common? they would have a burial for the placenta.
Yes. Yes.
Well, guess
Even
what?
after the lotus birth. Yep. Lotus birth includes the burial.
That's right. So, guess what that means? As the pastor, I have the authority to hold a funeral and kill the straw man.
Well said.
Because under the 7-year rule, nobody can find the straw man, nobody can find the placenta or the
Bingo.
infant.
Yes. Yes.
And with the straw man dead, you can get the EIN number for that, right?
Well, I think you got to have your own system set up, and you got to know how to handle your commercial affairs. They're never going to turn that money over to you if you don't know what you're doing.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can't have money. It's too damn dangerous. You know, guys, I want to tell this story because it's a great example. Somebody from California, one of the stars from California, was traveling in Africa, and they went and bought all the soccer balls within 300 miles. And I don't know, there's like 15 or 20 soccer balls within 300 miles, 15 soccer balls. And he gave them away. And most of those kids were chopped up with machetes, and their balls were stolen before they even got home. He gave away a prize. So he gave away a prize so beloved, so worshipped by other men that they would kill you for it. And he gave these to unsuspecting children, a prize bigger than themselves. And they walked home and they were murdered. They were cut up. And I don't think one of the kids that were given a ball survived the gift. Because equity doesn't perfect an imperfected gift.
And yeah,
money's dangerous is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely, it's dangerous. But I heard recently, and but people that actually done everything, they got everything in place, and this one lady supposedly, it's hearsay because it's come from another source, but he said he knew this woman, and she had a party, and people asked, how did you come into all this money? And she started talking. A few days later, they found her in a freezer. Because the system absolutely knows the average person, that love of money being the root of all evil, they won't be able to keep their mouth shut. They're going to eventually brag. And when they kill you off because you bragged, because you had a non-disclosure, they're going to get the money back anyway. Satan is the god of this world, according to Scripture. Do you really want to make a deal with the devil?
Nope. Hey, you don't either. Good girl.
Do I care about giving them their obligations? Hey, settle your debt. I don't have a problem with that. I am more than happy to give them their obligations. Let them take care of their obligations. But when it comes to that account, it was not mine from the beginning. It was theirs. Let them settle the debt. Quit chasing the money.
Absolutely, because in Article 6 of the Constitution, it talks about those engagements and that debt. And in Article 6, they're taking on all that prior debt. And all debt
but you know how
treaties. It's crazy.
But nobody reads that book. Nobody reads the Constitution. The United States Constitution with analysis and interpretation, free to download for people to understand their rights and how to defend them.
Because it takes time.
And then
people, want it delivered to them, and then want it read to them, and want it fed to them. And it takes your own personal time to go out and observe and make light of this knowledge in your own life.
Yep.
What a blessing to have you. Now we're hooked up. I've been really busy because we've got rain right now, and it's going to turn to snow. sooner than later. But I'd like to put away some time and chat with you and get you all the instruments.
What state you
Say
in?
again?
What state you in?
I have interest in Colorado.
Yeah, you're right. It's going to turn to snow soon.
Yeah.
Well, if I get a load out there, I'll let you know.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Pretty much if you're on the Front Range, I'll come see you. I'm sure.
Yeah, I actually met Minnesota Mark the other week. We sat down and had dinner together.
Oh, really? How is he?
He's doing good, putting up a good fight. He ain't quite brave enough to put the private plates I sent him on his vehicle yet, but he's putting up a good fight.
Hey, I got a question because you guys were just talking about reading the Constitution and everything, and in the Constitution it has unalienable, and as I dug through the California Constitution, it mentions inalienable. Does anyone have insight why they would be kind of talking about two different ones?
Yeah. One is God-given rights. One is rights you waive.
And the states can do whatever they want. The states can do whatever they want as long as it doesn't infringe. So they can promise you something lesser. What they can't do is take away something greater.
So
they
then
can always promise you something lesser. This is the way contracts work. I can always promise you something lesser, and if you agree, you'll get lesser. But I can't take away your right to something greater.
So I'm contracting my rights away with the state. Is that kind of what we're saying?
Correct. Yes.
Well, when did the right to travel get licensed?
Well, when you're 16, because it's illegal.
No.
In history.
No. My dad has private plates on, and Shane's in here listening. Private citizen, he's in here. And he knows my dad. He can verify this. My dad has private plates on his vehicle. He's been running that way for almost 6 years. And he has never got a ticket. He got into an accident one day, a minor bump up. And the lady called the cops. They come out and did a police report. The guy goes to the back of my dad's van, looks at the plates, looks at my dad, looks at the plates, looks at my dad, goes to his car, digs through their database to find a plate he hasn't used in years to put on the ticket. Another time, Dad called me and said, "You ain't gonna believe what I did." I said, "What'd you do, Dad?" He said, "I come up to this stoplight and I came to a stop. Looked left, looked right, nothing was coming. I took off." And he said, and there was a state trooper behind me. I said, "Did he pull you over?" He said, "Nope. He sat there until the light turned green and turned left." He don't have a state plate. He don't have a state registration. What you don't realize is that license is a contract.
No, I understand. I understand.
So you're contracting your rights for privileges to follow their rules, and they won't give you a ticket.
And what you missed of my chat earlier is how I break down jurisdiction over land in the law and give you examples in the Colorado Revised Statutes of how jurisdiction is ceded to those exact places that they describe. And the reason why is because law is only operable in those areas where that jurisdiction is ceded.
Yeah.
That's it.
But Jesse, you say that you have the right to travel and blah, 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 and then you turn 16, you get a license. Well, guess what happens with that license? You contract your rights away, because then the state says without that license, you can't travel in something that is supposed to be your property.
So, Pastor, I got another take on this, and I do quite well with it. Is I hold up my hunting license, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I say, "Am I hunting elk?" And the jury says no. The judge says no, and I hold up my fishing license and say, "Am I fishing?" No. And I hold up my marijuana card that says I have the right to have marijuana. And I said, am I marijuanaing? And so I asked just quite plainly, quickly, is as a man holds a license, are they engaged in that activity? Because I can hold your license because when I do decide to act in commerce, I just may want that license for that dedicated time and place and space to act in commerce. But just because I have a license did not make me guilty of driving. It didn't, just because I had a license to hunt, didn't make me guilty of hunting off season because I hold a license in my pocket.
Yeah, that's the power to contract at will, right? And the license is given to you under fraud anyway.
Hold on.
I just got a new license. I know.
The reason why I'm saying this, but this is all prefaced with me publicly in the record reserving my rights as a free man.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we talk about your status, that means I have to go to the county that you're in and look up the record, what you've filed, and to actually see what your status is. And in my filings, you'll see that, I filed that I reserve all my rights. And the reason why is because I'm not smart enough to know all my rights, but I'm smart enough to reserve them.
Yeah, because we have rights we don't even imagine yet.
Nope.
Your rights stop. Your rights to do anything only stop when it comes to trespassing on another's rights. And we were talking the other day about murder. I said, and the guy was asking, well, isn't murder a commercial crime? I said, not according to 27 CFR 72.11. It's not even in the list. Well, don't they still bond the cases and make money off of them? I said, absolutely, but that doesn't mean it's a commercial crime.
Offense.
Murder is a crime because why? That man has the same rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as you do, and you trespassed on his rights.
On the rights, not the man.
Yeah.
Well, you did it without a license.
And now, self-defense is where that man waived his rights and forced you to kill him. See the difference? He had the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, but because of his actions, he waived those rights and forced you to have to defend yourself.
Well said. Well said, Pastor.
That's in a personal like a personal matter that just that happens to just pop up. But I was a Marine for 20 years. We had a license to kill, right? Somebody said it was okay at one time.
Yeah, but it was always in the heat of battle, which would be self-defense. No,
well, technically, but if we weren't there, there would be nothing to defend ourselves against to begin with, and we were only there
now
to secure all these batteries for the Tesla cars.
Yes, that's actually a true statement. I mean, war is a racket. It's all for bankers and businesses.
Yeah. You read that Smedley Butler book too, huh?
Yep. Well, you know the three centers of power that rule the world, don't you?
Of course.
You got the Vatican. They have a church in almost every country, so they hear about all the problems before anyone else. Then they send emissaries to the city of London within London, who sends economic hitmen to both sides of the skirmish to fund the war. And when a resolution cannot be reached, they send in DC to do an acquisition of property. That's why we go in and set up bases. And now we say, here, boys, y'all going to play by the rules.
Yeah. I would say we were just the public face of a really long negotiation process that didn't work out.
That's right. And now you wonder why we have so many troops with PTSD and all these problems, because the troops are realizing it's an unjust war. and their conscience is tearing them apart. But they got to learn how to forgive themselves because they didn't know better. They were an infant when they signed up.
Injuries, man. Injuries get most people.
Yeah, well, infancy. It tells you in the Anderson's Law Dictionary of 1889 that an infant can join the Army or the Navy. Infant isn't an age; it's a mindset.
Sure.
When you don't know how the system operates, and you have a infant's comprehension, yeah, you can actually go join the military. But your subconscious won't let you do things that are evil without paying a price.
I always say too, like we were fighting farmers and gangbangers over there. That's all we were doing. Yeah, and just people that wanted us out of their neighborhood. That was it. Same thing we'd be doing over here.
Oh, you want to see how upset some conservatives get when I get to talking about the Constitution? I said, you remember back after 9/11, the whole argument is to the supposed terrorists, if you believe the official story, which I don't, that were in Guantanamo, and did they have constitutional rights? Well, yeah, and they'd say, yeah, I remember that, and they don't have any. I said, really? When's the last time you read the Declaration of Independence? It said all men are created equal, given their rights by their Creator. I said, why does America think we have the patent on rights? Are we saying that we're the only ones made by the Creator? See, we're trespassing on their rights because we're going in there under the guise of the bankers. We're trespassing on their rights, and guess what? Our day of reckoning is coming.
Oh, I would agree. Sodom and Gomorrah style.
No, that's a whole other subject. You cannot violate natural law.
May of 2040. It's coming.
Yeah, you cannot violate natural law without paying a heavy price.
It's all cyclical, though, Pastor. That's what I've come to
It
see.
is. It is cyclical. Look at the Bible. The freaking Bible even lays it out that the people become free and they follow God, and freedom soars in the nation, and then the next generation is getting spoiled, and as it goes on they become decadent, and they think everything's owed to them, and what happens? Then they collapse and get enslaved again. We're on the downward slide. Our days are numbered. But I think this time there won't be a rise. The only other empire that will rise this time will be the kingdom of the Antichrist. And by the way, cite your authority.
Yeah, brother.
Have you been seeing any of the reports on the building of the third temple?
I have. What is up with that? I've heard about it. I didn't get anything physical, but I caught a news brief.
They got their red heifer. They've got it ready to build. And in the way it appears by the articles and reports that I have seen, it's like a prefab house. They got everything ready to just slap it up quick.
Of course. Sure.
And just the other day, a new one come out where you know that the part of the clothing of the priest is red like fire. Well, they believe they have found the larva of a certain bug that grows on a tree.
Yeah.
That when you get it in its larva stage, it is actually red looking, but the dye that is created when it dries, the cloth is orange like fire.
Huh, interesting. Well, you know, something something recently that I added to the prayer was that God knows my heart to be of a Levite.
Mm-hmm.
And reason why is because, we are responsible for the word, for the truth. The Levites are responsible for the truth. And if you find yourself fighting for the truth and trying to uphold the truth in the way, then chances are you have a heart of a Levite. And in the consequence of that is that armies cannot touch you. And the consequence of that is that the Levites were never put into the first census or any other census and do not hold a number or a mark. And that is why
if you study what Paul says in Romans, you're grafted into the vine, which means what? By spirit, you're a Jew. You're an Israelite. Because you're grafted into the body of Christ, and because the vine was Israel.
Yes, and it's the nation of Israel is the blood of Israel and not the physicality of Israel.
That's right.
Because a nation is a man, and that's what most people don't comprehend is a man carries a nation, a woman does not.
Yeah, well, if you look at what I've been saying recently when it says that you are to go have dominion over the earth, well, doesn't the word earth translate clay?
Absolutely.
Well, what does it say that man was made from? Clay. So what if you're supposed to have dominion over your portion of the clay and have self-rule?
Absolutely. But the reality is that you have to notice them, that you are governed. And this is why I'm getting people to write prayers, so that they are evidencing that they are governed by God and that they are disciplined in that. And when they express it by writing this prayer, they come one step closer to actually living it.
Yep.
Because
people talk about well, Jesus did away with the law. Really? No. The only thing he did away with was the sacrificial law. He was the last sacrifice.
Absolutely.
He didn't do away with all the laws.
Yeah. We would not have to sacrifice. We would not have to sprinkle salt.
For them.
No.
Yeah. And a lot of the laws, if you really research them, like the food, the laws dealing with clean and unclean.
Yep.
About it, if you Bible calls on. I mean, do you think they knew that back then? Not necessarily. But look at
they
the
don't
medical
know the
effects are of the unclean animals when you eat too much. Yeah, they didn't.
Well, I was taught by old men farmers, and they'd teach me stuff without telling me where they got it from or what book they read it out of, because that was just how life was. And, and you take it as fact.
Yeah.
Depends on who gives it.
Well, go look at when the Bible talked about not circumcising the son before the 8th day. Well, there's a medical reason why. Because the liver by the 7th day, the liver is producing 4 times the amount of vitamin K that it will ever produce any other day of its life. It usually takes up to the 7th day, and that's for blood clotting. Do you think they practiced on their children? Oh, well, that one didn't make it. We did it on the 2nd day. No. The Spirit told them not to do that. Because why? We're God's creation. But we just turned our back on God, and we say, oh, I don't believe in that book because it's religious. But the principles that are in it is what founded this country.
Bingo.
And the people won't even read it.
Yeah. Well, something that I describe, first of all, to let people know who and what I am is I describe the Bible as a copywritten instrument, and I describe the Holy Scriptures as the truth in all instruments.
Yeah.
So in a sense,
Because
then,
I'm definitely. Go ahead.
yep.
so
Go
in a
ahead.
sense, then the scripture that said, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty," which is Psalms 91. And when you think about it, it also said Jesus the body. It said, "A body thou art prepared for me." And if you think about it, the spirit doesn't have a body. So what body is talking about? Then I would think about that. It's talking about Jesus right here, right? So then, from a laws and stipulation that Jesus asked us to, that's exactly what we should work with, right?
Well.
Yeah, so something I would add to that is a thing I describe is equity is what God gave you naked. Equity is everything that God gave you. You didn't need to be salted. You didn't need to be bathed with salt. You didn't need to be washed to make you perfect when you were born. What was that? Numbers 18. You don't have to be anointed. No. You're made perfect. And equity is that. And give back unto Caesar what is Caesar. And what is Caesar's is the law. Stay in equity. Let Caesar do his law. Let him do his law books. Give him back his law books. Give him back his checks. Give him back his chattel papers. Give it back to him and stay in equity. Bring equity.
Yeah.
How you look? So, guys, I've got to get going.
And I can't think of what it is.
I've got to get rolling. I just want to thank everybody who participated today because it was just a wonderful call.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate you, man.
Well, sir, whenever you are free, I drive for a living. I got nothing but time. So just pick up the phone.
Sure. And can I grab you on Telegram then? Is that the best one?
Yeah, I'll send you my link tree. You can go check out my stuff.
Please. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yep. And check out the posts that I did in Floyd's, or you can always come over to Cite Your Authority and grab them too.
Okay.
Yeah, some really good stuff, some top hitting stuff, some of my life's work. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
So, yeah, thank you, guys. Appreciate it. God bless all.
Yeah, I heard that guy one time, and he was on the House of Prayer call, and I was listening to him. I never did get in the call, and I was listening to what all he was talking about, and I was like, well, this guy's freaking brilliant on how he set everything up. So, y'all done got quiet.
Just listening. I actually came in late. I'm not sure what you guys were talking about. I heard talking about the Bible last scripture, but came in about 20 minutes ago. So, how you doing, Pastor?
Oh, doing well. We were talking about basically the same things I teach about how this system was set up and how you should be operating accordingly. And he was like, he's confirmed everything I've been saying. He's known it longer than I have.
Yeah, that's good to have witnesses.
Yep. And all I'm doing is, when I started figuring this out, I had forgotten about some of the people that were talking about you being the agent all this, that, and the other. And then I started realizing that, and all those different things I had heard in the past throughout the years listening to different people, it's like it started coming back.
Yeah, after listening to all these things and processes for, I don't know, over 2 years now, close to 3 years, I'm not saying I'm experienced, but I'm not a newbie, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get to the root solution, you know what I mean? What is the root of all this, and how do you resolve it?
My opinion, the root is the name. It's not yours. And if it's not yours, what is your relationship to that name? And right now, the evidence is supporting that you're the agent. And what's the duty of an agent?
Well, I mean, I'm coming to 2 points. One is it is the name, and I was coming back to, for example, the law of Boris, that kind of, those things where it's just not your name, and you got to let it go.
Well, the law render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, but the only part I disagree with Boris on is how he applies the usufruct. Okay. Now the usufruct is a trust, but most people say that it was mine. No, Mom signed a contract giving assignment over the property before you were born, and it wasn't even for you. It was for the infant. The infant was the placenta. So if the placenta was one of the products of conception and both had to be recorded, guess which one hasn't never been recorded?
That would be the baby, right?
That's right, the living, breathing man or woman.
Which should have been done by the parents days later, I've heard.
Yes, where you claim your property. So what did the hospital do? They put an announcement in the paper over the infant, the placenta. Nobody claimed that either, because they did a legal notice. What was it there for? Well, does anybody have an interest in this property? Please come forward. Nobody ever comes forward. But see, you got two products of conception, and the mother takes the baby home, and nobody records the baby, even though the law says both must be recorded.
Right. So the end seems like to do what you're doing, and also to deal with commercial, you have to live in the world. You do have to go into trust. So it's twofold.
Yes. Yes, you absolutely need a vehicle to operate in commerce if you're going to be in the private.
Yeah. So the key is to get into private and have a vehicle for you to use in commerce, as a private citizen. So, I think like Ann LaFleur stuff, for example, is something that it kind of lit up a light bulb for me. I heard about trust for so long. I have 3 of them, but I haven't understood how to utilize them.
Well, that's where you need to go to archive.org and look up the treaties on trust or the law of trust. Go find you a book that you're comfortable reading. And just go through the book, start learning how they work and how they operate, what your duties are if you're the trustee. But if you really want to be in the private, go set you up an LLC, go get you a registered agent in New Mexico, have it recorded in New Mexico, because why? They will not divulge who the owners and members of the LLC are. And you can get a registered agent for as cheap as $35 if that's all you want. And from that point, you also can do your DBA, doing business as the CEO of the LLC. And now the LLC is appointed as the trustee. Now, when there's a lawsuit, Who does the government go after, or who does anybody go after when they go after the trust? They go after the trustee. Well, if the LLC is the trustee and it's completely legal, they have to go after the LLC, and you're just the CEO. And as long as the CEO is doing their duty, the CEO has no liability. You're just the agent. And if the LLC doesn't have anything, because its only job is to manage the trust, what can they get? That puts you
So
and the man
Pastor,
completely in the private.
so you opened the LLC in New Mexico, or are you just a registered agent?
Registered agent, that's where it would be recorded at. As long as you got the registered agent, then it can be recorded in New Mexico. And then on top of that, there's not an annual filing fee. There's actually, it's a filing or reporting process is every 2 years, and there is no fee attached to the reporting process.
Oh.
The 4 states that give protection of LLCs are Delaware, Nevada, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. Not Wyoming, Wisconsin and New Mexico. And well, maybe it is Wyoming instead of Wisconsin, but either way, New Mexico is the 4th one. Delaware is the most expensive because it was really set up for the corporations. That's why when you go look at most corporations, like the big ones, like if they're international, they're a Delaware corporation, even though they're not housed in Delaware.
Well, Delaware also tax.
Yeah.
Sales tax.
And then if you want to get your 98 number, go find you the list of countries that have not signed on to the Hague. Okay. And then get you a mailing service / registered agent service in that country and get that address to receive mail. And then you can get your 98 number as a foreign grantor trust. And everything's 100% legal and by the books.
What's the significance of doing it in a non-Hague? The 98.
Jurisdiction.
Okay.
Jurisdiction. If they're a part of the Hague, then they have treaties with the United States for certain things.
I see. So if they want to check you out, basically, because they have that relationship, they'll oblige, basically, for the U.S.
Basically, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have a 98 trust.
Yeah, but that's why I say, if you just follow their rules, they'll tell you how to do everything.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, I can't stand to hear people say it's all fraud. It's all fraud.
Go ahead, Shane.
No, somebody else stepped in. Go ahead.
Ma'am?
I had a question in regards to what if both parents are dead and that live birth testimony from them. How is that possible? Is that where the Bible comes in?
No, if you want to be you need to be the executor, which means you need to know the rules and what's required as an executor. Okay. One of the rules of an executor is they have to contact all the accounts and creditors and debtors and settle all the friggin' debt, right? But that's not the only job of the executor. And if you wanted to do the birth record and your parents are dead, if you find any evidence that their estate is not completed, and I'll tell you now, you're not going to be able to use the Social Security account for that proof. Anything reasonable, you're going to have to go to probate court and ask for an appointment of executorship. If you get that appointment, now you can sign papers on behalf of them. Shane. Now, what was you saying, Shane?
I mean, I think that's what gets me the most. People gripe and complain that everything's fraud and we've been duped and you know the wool pulled over our eyes when actually it's all there, all in writing. All you got to do is read.
Yep. If you want to hide the truth, put it in a book. And I think at some point we all realized that, and we all realized at some point, wait a minute, when we started in this movement and in this learning process, we started reading things and we started saying, wait a minute, things are not what I thought. I mean, the first time I experienced it was when I found the court case Jones v. Timmer from 1993. Now, if you look up that case, it was overturned, but the principles were not overturned. And the principles that were laid out in that place is dealing with the federal citizen and a citizen of the states. A 14th Amendment citizen don't have access to the Bill of Rights. That's reserved for the citizens of the states. And they don't have the same equal protection under the 14th Amendment as the 5th Amendment and all that stuff. So I was like, wait a minute, this ain't what I was taught in school. What in the world's going on here? Because they were citing the court cases they were getting it from, which was the slaughterhouse cases. And the slaughterhouse cases were decided 5 years after the 14th Amendment. And they're still a standing case. They've never been overturned. The other one is U.S. versus Anthony. And I think that one was in 1872 or 3. I think it's 2, though. And you look in that case, the judge in that case spills the beans and tells you the whole thing. So things are not what people think, and it's not that they try to trick anybody. It's the average person has no understanding of what the Constitution says and how it applies. $59 more miles.
Where are you going?
Moxville, North Carolina.
Are you going home?
No, I wouldn't mind it, but if I go home, that puts me 2 hours from my delivery, and I basically would have to go home, go to bed, get up, and get gone. And to me, that's just a tease. I don't want to go home, kiss my wife, and say, now I got to go to bed. Because my first delivery is right around Charlotte, which is 2 hours from the house.
Maybe you can talk her into meeting up with you.
That'd be up to her. If she
gotta
decided to
plant that
bring her
seed.
butt this far,
You got to plant that seed.
I don't have to plant that seed. If she wants to do it, she'll do it. Trust me. She's done it. I run out of time one time and didn't have the time to get home. I had to do a restart. She came to Moxville and picked me up and took me home. I don't have to plant the seed. She knows what my life is like. She's been known, oh, you're going to be here? Her and my daughter will jump in the car and drive.
So you want to talk about the railroad strike? Mm.
I hope it lasts a while because maybe freight rates will go up.
Yeah, well, I figured that's what you would say. So
Let it last till
should I
next
start a
next
shipping
year.
company? Should I start a shipping company? Like a
I don't know. You got the money to start one?
no. Well, no, because I have to give it to Caesar. So no,
Why do you have to give it to Caesars?
because it's his.
Look at Amazon. Amazon started everything under a trust. Then they put the trust on the stock market through the Securities and Exchange Commission. The trust owns all the property. And then guess what? The one licensed at the state, that's a different entity that's leasing the property from the trust. It's all about how you set things up.
It sounds like maximum tax advantage right there.
And the reason that the wealthy do that is they can legally transfer money to the trust because the trust owns the property. And if there's a distribution, it's only a 15% tax. But what happens? There's never a distribution. It's always the trust owns all the property. It owns the house. It owns the boats. It owns the cars. It owns the warehouses. It owns the whatever. But guess who gets to play with it all? The beneficiaries. And if you read their 424B5 prospectus, if you are an investor in Amazon, you might be a beneficiary to Amazon. Because it says something about certain investors are beneficiaries. See, they got everything out in the public for people to figure out how the game is played. You just got to know where to look.
So that's all you had to say about the strike?
Yeah, because I've been saying I hope the strike lasts for a long time. Because why? Right now, freight rates for trucks suck. It's been bad for us all year long. They're not trying to pay us nothing.
Signed up for a company called Ships, I believe it was, where you could go to Home Depot, Menards, etc. They would have, loads or lifts or whatever they called them. So you could deliver orders to people's houses.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I used to have a truck.
That's kind of like Uber Eats or
DoorDash. I do
DoorDash, yeah. And it's actually becoming popular because people are lazy and don't want to leave the house.
Oh, you don't have to tell me. I've been doing it for 5 years, Pastor. I did it before COVID.
You're actually, I think if I remember correctly, you said you're making pretty decent.
Yeah, I make good money doing it.
Mm-hmm.
No boss. Just the gas prices and the wear and tear. That's the only downfall.
Well, don't talk about the gas prices. Shoot, it's cheaper to go to Taco Bell.
Is it?
For gas prices, yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Oh, I put gas in my. I get 61 cents a mile for driving my kid to and from school. 188 a day when he goes to school. There and back, there and back.
Hey, Pastor, you ever looking to get one of those Tesla rigs?
I've actually looked at the potential cost of one, and I said, get you a freaking gas or diesel generator that holds about a gallon of gas that'll charge the batteries while you're stopped and keep them charged. It'd be almost worth having one of those.
Yeah, right. Or throw some solar panels on the top of the trailer,
That's possible too.
You won't get enough amperage. Full charge though.
Well, it's not like you can't.
Depends on how many panels you put up there and how many watts they put out.
Exactly.
I mean, you would have to get it set up, but to me, for the price and what it does, I think it might be worth it. But like anything, when it's new on the market, it's going to be full of bugs. So do you really want to get it when it first comes out, or do you want to wait until they get all the bugs out?
Yeah, right. You want to be their guinea pig?
Need you around, Pastor. Don't be their crash test dummy, will you?
No, I'm tired of being a dummy for the government. I don't want to be a dummy for Elon Musk too.
Ain't that the truth? Hey, I saw
He's another one. He's another one like Amazon, with everything on government subsidies and trusts.
Shoot, we know he's getting government subsidies. The corporations are on freaking the government teat. So, anybody got any questions or thoughts or anything?
I'm gonna go fix my car.
Do what?
I'm gonna go change the ignition coils of my car, my fun car.
Yeah. Shoot, I still think you can't beat the old cars, the ones that actually were made of metal that you could turn a wrench and fix.
It's a 03 Audi A6, and there's no room in that. And it's a fun car.
I don't doubt that. Do what, Shane?
I said I had an 84. I loved it.
Yeah, mine's it's fun. That's all I'm gonna tell you. It's a lot of fun. Twin turbo.
Those fancy luxury cars, they are fun to drive.
But no room.
I would think they are.
No room to work on that son of a bitch.
Me, my dream car, I want a freaking Hellcat.
I like my all-wheel drive.
Well, in the wintertime, they suck. Front-wheel drive is the way to go in the wintertime, though.
All-wheel. All-wheel is the best.
What are you talking about, Pastor? An all-wheel drive is the way to go, period. I mean, I'd rather have 4 tires spinning than I would 2 when it comes to snow.
I grew up in Michigan, Pastor. You have no idea. It snows up there.
Yes, I know, but a front-wheel drive is the way to go in the snow because the front wheels, actually, it's harder to lose control when you've got the 2 wheels, and that's it. When you start getting those back wheels trying to give power to the ground,
yeah, no, I hear
you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially in my car. Yeah, I hear you.
Now, I had a four-wheel drive, not a four-wheel drive, a rear-wheel drive car one time. You remember the old police package? What are the police cars called? Back in the 80s?
Crown Vic.
No, the LTDs.
Crown Vic.
Yeah, the Crown Vics. Now, those are fun to drive on in the snow when you're trying to do spin outs and all that stuff. Oh. But yeah, I had a 1980 Crown Vic, and that car with the police interceptor package, shoot, that car was fun to drive.
Like driving a giant boat.
Well, it was, but it sure had some power.
Oh, those cars in the 80s, man, they were boats, 70s and 80s. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you could take one of those today and hit a smart car and it wouldn't even scratch it.
You should listen to that conversation when you have a chance. No rush, though.
Oh, I will. I definitely will.
Start making some phone calls, and you'll be proud of me because I recorded it.
Yeah, freaking record these people. You never know when they're actually give you a nugget of truth.
Yeah, Tim, I heard you.
You don't know.
I heard you on Floyd's last night. I got off because y'all were. I mean, it was the first 10 minutes. I didn't get much talking, but I had heard you recorded a conversation with the Social Security Administration.
You want me to send it to you? I'll send it to you. I'm not scared.
I'd love to hear it. Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Just wish I was educated like you guys. Educated.
Shoot, if you're educated, you're not indoctrinated.
I'm trying to forget.
For yourself.
I'm trying to forget and then educate.
Correct.
That's my struggle right now.
And reading, look, the elite, people love them or hate them. The elite, that's one thing that I have seen and that they preach, is they read. They read every day. They're reading newspapers. They're reading magazines. They're reading books. They're reading investment papers. They are constantly reading. And the masses do what? Go to work and watch TV. Where's the reading? Oh, reading's no fun. Well, guess what? Do you like where life is treating you? Change your life. Start reading. So people complain about the government. They complain about the elite. Oh, look at what they're doing. Well, guess what? Look at how they set everything up. If you want to be wealthy like them, do what they do.
I don't want to be like them though.
Well, I'm not saying like them in nature, because some of them are outright evil. But
They can't all be bad.
they're not all bad. They're not. Look at Robert Kiyosaki. Robert Kiyosaki's got a YouTube channel trying to teach people, at least what he's allowed to say publicly, how to learn how to deal with wealth or deal with money. You've got Grant Cardone. Look at what he does. I can't think of the guy's name that's very crass and always seems to be angry and yelling. But look, even him putting out the videos on how to deal with money and how you should do business. They're sitting
Alex
there
Jones, right?
telling you, no, not Alex Jones. He's not one of the elite.
Well, according to the finances from that court case, he is.
According to the finances, he ain't got billions of dollars. He's not amongst the elite. Millionaires are not even to the elite. Millionaires haven't even scratched the surface. To the elite, they're like us.
I just prefer zero balance, zero the account. Fuck, I don't need money.
I don't think you should worry about zeroing the account. It's not your account, it's theirs. Make them take care of their obligations. If it's their account, if it's their obligations, say, Caesar, take care of your stuff. Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. Hey, Caesar, it's your obligation here.
Why is it their obligation? I'm the one that bought my house.
No, you attached it to the trust, and they mortgaged everything in 1933.
And that name is their property.
But neither me or
That's
the
right.
town here in 33. I'm just saying.
It doesn't matter. 1933, that was the New Deal, and we've been under the New Deal ever since. And what is it? It's a contract. If they mortgaged all the homes, that makes you a property manager. Well, damn it. Shouldn't they be paying you to manage their property? Send a freaking letter to your congressman. Say, hey, we need to pass a private law. And the Congress controls the purse. And according to the Congressional Record 1933 and subsequent acts thereafter, you mortgaged all the homes, which means it's your property, and I'm just merely a property manager. And since I am not a slave, and slavery and involuntary servitude is illegal, you owe me back pay. And for my continued property management here, my salary is this much. So please take that before Congress and pass a private law. Don't know if you don't try. Who insured all the mortgages? The government did. And they insured the mortgages under the USDA. You remember the 08 housing collapse? Well, remember when they were getting $700 and some odd million every time they got a check from the government? It wasn't just one bailout. It was multiple. It wasn't even a bailout. It was an insurance premium. It was a payment because all the mortgages were insured. But see, they don't tell you this. And then unfortunately, the families go file bankruptcy when it's already been paid.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Kind of bothering you now that you're learning all this stuff, ain't it?
Yeah, what's even bothering me worse is my mortgage company and their relentless pursuit to piss me off every day.
That's the one thing I've never had as a mortgage. I have car payments, but no mortgage ever.
Well, the car payment is already paid too. It's the same principle.
I know. Hey, all right. I guess it's a contract. They're all contracts.
No,
so I
that's
just
not
need
what we're
to
getting
send
at. They're
Caesar
all
my contract.
promissory notes.
So I just need to send Caesar my contracts and tell him to take care of it.
John Eric Roca, I went and got a personal loan and went and bought my mom a car. Okay. And
You
Anybody?
dropped.
Yeah, I don't hear him either.
so I got copies of all the paperwork, and they give me a copy of the promissory
Drop.
note.
Pastor, you dropped. Start over with you. You went and bought your grandma a car.
Sorry. Let's try that again. So I went and got a personal loan for my mom and bought a car for my mom. And I said, I want copies of all the paperwork. They gave me a copy of the promissory note. And I called my buddy John Eric Roca down in Texas and told him what they gave me. He said, oh, yeah. He said, did you know that copy is just as good as the original? He said, I said, oh? He said, yeah. He said, I went through my mortgage papers. And I went, and my promissory note had on the signature line copy. So he called the USDA. And they told him, they said, the copy is just as good as the original if you sign it. It's a promissory note. What are promissory notes? They're no different than a Federal Reserve note. Basically, they're the same thing.
Aren't they a debt instrument?
So is a Federal Reserve
Well,
note.
what isn't?
Yeah, well, or a negotiable instrument. Did you like that silver certificate I took a picture of that I have?
I'd have to see it.
Posted it in the chat last night.
I didn't see it.
It's expired.
Are you talking about the ones issued by the United States?
Yeah, but you'd have to go look at it. You would definitely know more about it than myself, and I actually have it.
Yeah, I'd have to go find it with all the chats that's been going on. I've actually got some silver certificates. The ones that look similar to the Federal Reserve notes, but it's a United States silver certificate.
Yeah, it's a $5 one. It says it's worth like a half a gram of 0.999 troy silver, I believe. And it was issued in 1999, I think. Back has a warehouse receipt.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Hello there, Chris. Long time no see.
So can I use that to pay off my car?
If you know how to do it, you should be able to. But to learn how to do it, you need to go read their laws, Title 12 and Title 31. You also need to read the UCC, especially Article 9, because that's the controlling article. Then go into the section on notes and all that stuff. If you don't know the rules, how are you going to enforce it? My personal opinion is freaking send it to them.
Who's them?
The Treasury. If
That's what I'm saying, bro.
If it's a government obligation and you're just the registered agent, shouldn't you be forwarding all their obligations to them?
Yeah, you know what? I'll check my water bill that I forwarded to them. We'll see. Give me a second. I'll get online.
You sent it to the Treasury or to the vendor?
The Treasury. No, you don't go to the vendor. No.
I forwarded a water bill from the house I'm actually at right now.
Nice.
And
did you put a cover letter with it?
No, I just went in online and changed my billing address to the United States Treasury.
That's right. You told me that.
Just to see. So hold on.
Good idea.
Get online and see. I don't think they've paid it yet, but we'll see.
You could always do a 1040 and put them down as the employer.
I wouldn't do a 1040. The government can't balance the books because they don't know what's been done and not been done.
No, they still haven't paid it.
Well, when was the bill issued?
Well, my next bill is due October 7th.
Okay,
So
well,
I'm assuming it's been mailed to them by now because I changed it probably 10 days ago, maybe longer.
well, they probably haven't even mailed out a bill yet.
Yeah, I've got some already.
Yeah.
I've gotten one of them because I have 3 different water bills. So yeah, I've gotten one of them. I got it a couple days ago. So I just need to send all my bills to the Treasury, to the one address that the one guy posted the one day.
Well,
See what
as the
happens.
registered agent, I don't know that you should do it that way. I mean, I've heard of people doing it. Don't know if it works. But as the
I was going to
registered,
probably do a cover letter.
yeah, if
Tell
you're
them,
going
hey,
to
this is
do
your
that,
obligation.
yeah, if
Pastor told me.
oh, that ain't gonna work. The reason that's not gonna work, they're gonna pretty much know that you don't know what you're doing. That's why you got to cite their laws. What does it say that the duties of the
I know,
registered
I got to
agent
read it.
is?
I got to learn it. I got to read Illinois' UCC.
Forward all service of process to the agent or to the principal, right?
That's right.
Maybe if I send a one-time good letter, then they'll leave me alone. If they pay my utilities, I'd be happy with that. That's really all I want.
Hey, Pastor, that Indiana website you sent me, it takes me into the titles and everything, but all those links are broken. It won't take me anywhere to look at the laws. It's really weird.
Then that means that they have an updated site somewhere, and that one ain't it.
Yeah, that's why I was excited to find that one that I shared with you, because I was like, oh my gosh, finally I found some stuff.
And Hannah, tell them what you've been learning and what the book you've been reading.
I've been reading a lot of books.
I'm talking about the
No,
law
it's
agency
interesting.
book.
I'm seeing the flow. I'm seeing how you want to be the agent because you act on the entity's behalf, and that makes you not responsible for the entity. You stand behind them. You basically just process the work for them. You send off what they need sent off. And actually, the description I need to share with you is like an agent's job is to receive legal and tax obligations and mailings and things. And I'm assuming follow through on what needs to be done with those. I haven't gotten that far yet, but I'm seeing the flow of how everything works.
You're there to receive these. Nothing in there says you pay these. You are to forward them all notices, all demands, all processes to the last known address of the principal. What's the last known address? Well, the head trustee is the Secretary of the Treasury. Go look up the address for the Treasury or the Secretary's office. Hey, trustee, settle your obligations. I wouldn't put it in that. Then they'd take it you being a smartass. But when you start quoting their statutes that says, hey, as the agent for your person, it is my duty to inform you based on Indiana code, Illinois code, North Carolina code, whatever state it is, that my duty is to do this. The registered agent is the first step as a stepping stone in learning how to handle your commercial affairs. They can't balance the books if you're not telling them what needs to be balanced.
I can't wait to send them my student loans.
By the way, go read that American jurisprudence document I shared earlier. The way it reads, you're probably the general agent. There's a general agent, a special agent, and a universal agent. The universal agent requires an actual written agreement. Well, you could maybe argue that the back of the Social Security card, if you had the entire thing, is a written agreement that you signed, but I don't think you can, because I think it requires a written agreement from both parties, or two parties sign, right? In other words, there has to be notice that, hey, I want you to hold this office, and you accept the office. But the general actually does all the duties all the duties of the principal except for the liability. In other words, the general one goes out and gets the contracts, goes out and does things, but then he has to report it to the principal. So in our case, you have to go out and create the securities, create the public debt so the currency flows. But so that way the principal can balance the books. Then when you start getting the stuff in the mail, you send it to them. That's how the trust actually grows in wealth. Because they wanted this system, they wanted the currency to flow. That's why every year they give you tax forms, but you're filling out the wrong tax forms and doing things the wrong way and volunteering to be liable.
Yeah, I just pulled out the 1099 miscellaneous to read all the directions on it and look it over, and I'm getting ready to look at the 1040 too, also, because I would,
1040 is a
you know,
class.
you
The 1040 is a class 2. The 1099 is a class 5. All W-2s, all W-4s, all 1099s are class 5. You don't mix a class 2 with a class 5.
So then why do they have you do 1099s when you're doing your 1040?
Because why? It's a class 5 gift and estate tax. Okay, well, you don't know any better. You just do what H&R Block tells you, right? They don't tell you that the actual tax returns that you should be doing is the 706 or the 709. The 706, if I'm not mistaken, is the gift side, and the 709 is the estate side. So let's say you go get a job. We've already went over the trustees and that the trust is the actual employee. Okay, you're just the registered agent. Well, what are you supposed to fill out? The 709, the estate tax return. Why? Because the credit it's getting and that's transferred is for the estate. But when you go set up an account with Verizon or a mortgage company or a credit card company, that's the gift side. That's where the 706 comes from. And in IRS form publication 6209, they tell you what every form falls under. Is it a class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6? I think there's actually 8 classes, if memory serves me correct. And then in the Internal Revenue Manual, they tell you what each class is for. Well, if W-2s, W-4s, and 1099s are all Class 5 gift and estate, it's because of the trust. That's the reason I say send them a freaking 1099 at the end of the year. Hey, I gave this John Q Corporation this much credit. And then John Q Corporation has to pay the tax.
Right. You saw I found AT&T's W8
Yeah,
or
AT&T
W9.
actually puts them all on their website. And the good thing is on the bill you get in the mail, it tells you the address. So all you got to do is match the address to the W-9 that they have published. It will match.
Yep, I've got it printed out right now.
So the 1099, based on your good faith belief and based on my good faith belief, because you sent them back the coupon or whatever, and you made a payment, then guess what? The 1099 should show all your payments times 2 for the year. And they can't hold you liable to anything you're doing in good faith if it's based on the law. So guess what? You sit here and articulate it and say, look, according to your laws, as the implied agent, the registered agent / general agent, it is my duty to inform you, blah, blah, blah. And I am sending you this in good faith. Please balance the books. And then take all those copies of those 1099s to the tax preparer and say, hey, do my taxes. Make them liable because they're liable if they get it wrong. Wow, you have this much in 1099s? Oh, gosh.
Every time I talk to you, I end up having to read 3 more things.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not. It's interesting though. It really is. I grew up in the school system when you actually had to learn to read and write cursive and everything. So I feel like we're at an advantage, luckily.
Yes, we're kind of one of the last generations that actually had to do reports and everything in school. The law of agency explains everything. It really does. And I'm actually getting confirmation of this from attorneys. I had an attorney the other day that said yes, everything is agency. She even privately told me, she said, you should take the bar. There's no doubt in her mind that I'd pass.
Hey, Pastor, have you ever spoken with KW?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He was the first one I heard that ever talked about it being the law of agency.
Yeah, he was doing the stuff back in 2010, I want to say, 12 maybe. Yeah.
He read the court ruling from Kentucky on an audio call. Somebody put it on YouTube. I'd forgot all about that video when I started coming to this conclusion. And then I said, wait a minute here. Let me go find those videos, and went back and listened to them. Still got them on my YouTube channel. I can freaking pull them up anytime. But it's the one thing that very few people out there are looking at, and the bulk of the people out there have a problem with it. They really do. Well, my mom gave me that name. No, her mom didn't give you that name. She gave that name to the placenta, and it wasn't even under the office of mom. It was under the office of custodian.
Either or, it doesn't even matter because that's not even, I mean, whether she gave you the name or not, that's irrelevant. That form was printed, created by the state. That's their
That's
record.
right. That's their record.
It has nothing to do with you.
That's why you have to do your own. There's two products of conception, the placenta and the baby. Guess which one got recorded and which one didn't?
So, Pastor, if that is the case, what do you think in regards to this removing the minor disabilities concept? Is that like irrelevant?
Yeah, because how do you remove something from an entity that you don't control and you didn't create?
Makes sense.
I mean, Empress, think of it this way. If I create a trust and I name it Empress Shea Marie, and I hypothetically say you're the beneficiary, is that trust you?
No, it isn't.
But why do we treat the Social Security trust like it is?
Just from brainwashing and conditioning, pretty much.
That's right.
It's just hard for most of us to kind of disconnect from that concept. But I get it, yeah.
It has its own trustees. You were not a party to the contract. And if it has its own principals, its own trustees, its own grantor, its own beneficiaries, even if you are the beneficiary of that trust, does the beneficiary have any decision-making power? No. That means you don't have any power to do an appointment under a 56F on behalf of the beneficiaries. You don't have any decision-making power in a courtroom to make decisions for the trust. Plead guilty, not guilty, or no contest, Your Honor. I'm just the agent for the principal. I cannot make the decisions for the principal. Because why? I'm not trying to commit fraud upon the court and trespass on their rights. If you want them to make a decision, you need to contact the trustees.
And it's funny, if you're still like in the same state of birth, like, isn't it the state? Because the state issues the document or the birth record, and now the state in court is coming after the state. Basically, it's the state coming after the state. You see what I'm saying? Like,
oh, absolutely. But if you look at the third trustee on the list, who's the third trustee? Department of Health and Human Services. Why is that? Well, who gets all the Title IV funding? The state. That's why I say the state's the beneficiary. And Tim, he called the Social Security Administration the other day. Am I the beneficiary of this account? Yes, you are. Can you send me that in writing? Oh, we can. Because if they ever give you evidence that you are the beneficiary, it changes the nature of the game. Because how does liability roll? If you're the agent and you are not doing your duty, you are liable.
You need to listen to that phone call.
Yeah,
I will.
Within the...
I will, Tim. If you're the beneficiary, the liability gets transferred to the trustees if they're not doing their job. The beneficiary is never liable as long as the trustees do their job. Because if the trustees are not doing their job and the beneficiary becomes liable, the beneficiary has the right to sue the trustees. And Tim, I can't listen to it while I'm on here, but I will listen to it.
I asked her, I said, what is my relationship to this trust? Basically, she said, eventually you are the beneficiary. I go, what do you mean eventually? You got to either be disabled, apply for disability, which I don't think that has anything to do with it, or you have to reach the age, which is 62. You have to live a certain age.
Did you ask her after that who's the beneficiary until then?
Oh yeah, I asked her. You just listen to the call.
I will.
That and she was a nice lady too.
Where
She
is
was a
this
nice lady.
call? Where can I hear this call from?
Oh, it's recorded. He recorded it and sent it to me.
Yeah,
If he wants me to, I'll put it on my Rumble channel.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, not yet. Not till I get smarter, bud.
But I would have said, hey, I would ask him, say, that if I'm not the beneficiary right now, who is standing in that place of beneficial status? Because that trust is still exists, and I'd just like to know who the beneficiary is right now.
So she offered, because I was like, is there anybody else I could talk to besides you? She's like, well, you're at the last level, the federal level. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know she was a federal until she told me. So,
yeah, but she has a supervisor.
But she said she was open to a group call. So if that happens, Pastor, feel free to join that call if you'd like. I give you permission.
When she says she's open to a group call, what does that mean?
Because I wanted to know, why and how. When did I agree to this? Can you prove that I agreed to this? And she's like, no.
To get in touch with her?
Your parents. Blah, blah, blah. She said the birth certificate makes me a citizen. I'm like, well, can you prove that? Can you prove I'm a citizen? Why,
yeah.
You'll, like I said, when you listen to it, you'll get it. But I just need more education to ask the better questions.
I still, what does she mean by that she's open to a group call? Does that mean with us, or did she have somebody else she could put on the phone?
She has somebody else she can put on the phone, but I'll ask if I can have anybody else too. Because I should be able to, right?
Should be able to.
I mean, the worst thing they can say is no.
Did she give you
the authority to do it?
Did she give you a direct line to contact her?
I don't know. I mean, I have the phone number, but she called me. I was surprised, but I was ready. I had that recorder, bud. Some guy told me to get a app that records phone calls. I did. So I like it. Kind of.
You tell her you were recording?
No.
Don't have to. Federal level, one-party consent.
She didn't tell me who I was, so why am I going to tell her anything?
You don't have to tell them at the federal level. Federal level is one-party consent state.
Plus, they're already public.
I have to take I have to move my coolant overflow tank just to put one of these coils in. Just one. I got 5 of them done.
So a one-party consent means as long as you are the party, you don't have to tell them. And if they realize they're being recorded, a lot of times, especially on the harder subjects, they don't always want to be forthcoming.
Yeah, no, she had no idea. She was nice. I thought she was very nice, actually, because I'm not the nicest person sometimes either. Yeah. And I just kept asking her the same stuff, like, well, wait a minute. I'm just trying to figure this out. Who am I? You tell me, what am I? As relations to the Social Security. It's not mine. Why do I have it? Tell me why I have this. Okay, well, I didn't agree to that. Can I fix that? Can you tell me how to fix that? Well, you can't. Well, what do you mean? I mean, you can, move out of the country, et cetera, et cetera. But
whatever.
Get a better job.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not. It's not about getting a better job. It's just would anybody in this room right now do anything without consent?
Well,
because that's what you're doing.
Without
they
without
did that
what?
to you without consent, without your consent.
Who did?
No, what he's saying is, would you do anything without without consent. In other words,
without knowing.
everybody keeps consenting to everything they say and do, and then get mad at them when they do what they do. When you're consenting by your own words. For example, the very first thing in a court case, they call the name. Well, who do they want? Do they want the man? Do they want the entity? Do they want the driver's license? Who do they want? You sit here and say, here, and you consent to being that entity that's not you, the man. You've already pleaded guilty to something you have no first-hand knowledge of. And that actually, surprisingly, was something that was discussed on the Johnny Carson show years ago.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Is that
Oh
really
yeah,
your name? Is that
yeah,
really your name?
what was
You
that
think
guy's
you're doing
name? That lawyer.
Jake
He
Ehrlich.
said it. Yeah, Jake Ehrlich. He said the whole thing is a sham. The birth certificate and everything.
Yeah,
It's all hearsay.
it's all hearsay. Because why? It's their trust. They created a trust to that way they could create currency through the New Deal. And as long as you do your job, you don't hold liability. But because you don't know what your job is and you don't know how to do things, you're becoming liable, and you're volunteering. Because why? The average person will not pick up a book and read. Most people won't.
I'm just trying to get them to tell me who I am. And then
Now, but
can you send that?
some
She's supposed to send me an email. Like I said, when you listen to the phone call.
now if it's an email you can respond back and forth, that'd be great.
She's supposed to send me an email with some of the answers she had prior to calling me from the last person I talked to. Because, I've been messing with these guys for about 3 weeks now.
Yeah. I asked them. I did a FOIA request, and they still haven't responded. I need to get off my butt and fill out that freaking form and ask for an administrative hearing and say, hey, I've asked these questions. Y'all are interfering with my fiduciary duty.
Hey, that might be only if you're naturalized where you sent it to. Because I asked her about that. The United States Department of Citizenship and Immigration, right?
No, I don't agree with that, and here's why.
That's just what she said.
That's what she said. Now, I want you to think about it logically. It's citizenship and immigration. In other words,
I know.
You go through the immigration process to become what?
A citizen.
Bingo.
Well, no, and I even asked her, because she's like, your birth certificate makes you a citizen. I go, well, what about for the 6 days before it was registered? What was I then?
Arriving at travel centers of America on the right.
Well, even during those 6 days, you have no first-hand knowledge. You don't even know that a birth certificate was even created.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't know about this. I was a baby. I was like, how do I get out of this?
The baby gets smuggled out of the hospital before the 6 days. Does the United States go after it, or since it's not a citizen?
No, I think the reason
we're going to deport you back to your mother's vagina.
I think the reason why mine's 6 days is because I was born at like 11:54 p.m.
6 days, man. That's one of the shortest ones I've ever heard of. Is that when they did the file date?
That's when my placenta was filed.
Yeah, mine's like 2 weeks.
I am so amused.
Yeah, I ordered birth certificates and had them in 3 days. It was wonderful.
Well, 3 days isn't that's once the property goes abandoned after 3 days, right? 72 hours.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the law. Pastor might know.
Nah, that's some of the law. That's one of the laws in the contract, but I don't necessarily know that 72 days. It can only be abandoned if you were even aware. How can they say you abandoned something if you had no knowledge that that was even going on? And that's where the constructive fraud comes in.
And wait, what was abandoned? Because like the baby's still fine
No,
and dandy. Like
the
what?
fetus, the
They're
infant.
saying that the infant is a fiction that they created. So what? Do
No,
you
it's not a
abandon the piece of
fiction.
paper or you abandoned
That's what
the
was
placenta?
evicted.
It's
That's
not a
what was.
fiction. The infant was born. It was the placenta. It was a product of conception.
Well, infant in like legal terms, I'm saying it's like
It was
creation.
No, but it was the infant. It is incompetent. It is not able to speak for itself. It is a placenta. It has no mouth. It has no voice. And it does die. It is a decedent.
And when it grows up, it'll join the infantry.
They just need you to act as agent for that entity.
What's up with your dog, man?
Talk to Luna. I mean, she gets excited when I'm stopping the truck.
Oh yeah, she wants out. You got to go potty.
No, it don't matter if I could take her for a walk right now. Take her out to potty. Get back in the truck, circle the parking lot, come back to the same spot, and she'd do that every time.
Well, maybe she's ready to get away from being so close to you the whole time.
No, it ain't that.
She a good dog?
Oh
She
yeah, she
listen?
loves it. Well, listen's debatable, but she loves everyone.
Okay, so all right, that's good.
Stop it. Stop with all the noise. Stop it.
Like, yeah, okay.
Stop it, baby. I know. We just stopped. It's all right. Give me sugar. Well, I'm going
Hey,
to get off of here.
Pastor.
What?
My husband is also a truck driver, and he's listened to some of your videos. He can't wait to be able to connect with you in the future. So just wanted to give you a heads up. You got a fellow truck driver out there on the road with you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll tell you now, you see what my family crest is, right?
Yes, I see.
It's on the side of my truck. You can't miss it.
Really? Okay. Awesome. So are you an owner operator?
Yep.
Yeah, he did that for some years and he chose not to continue that route. But I don't
I
know.
just figured I would much rather plan my own loads, handle it myself, stop making the next man rich, and work and just do it myself.
Understandable.
And by the way, the dog, you hear how noisy the dog is. What you don't hear is the cat. So I wish Luna would take lessons from the cat and be quiet.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm gonna jump off of here. I'm gonna
Later, Pastor. Listen to that phone call later.
I will. I will talk to y'all later.